What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Thursday, February 1st, 2024, and I have an emergency alert to share with you guys. Right now, it is 9:22 p.m. Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming in from the Wall Street Journal. So, the Wall Street Journal is citing U.S. officials who said that the U.S. response to Iran and proxy forces could begin as soon as this weekend. Okay, so what you're looking at here is a screenshot from the Wall Street Journal article. It says Biden has approved plans for multi-day strikes in Iraq and Syria against multiple targets, including Iranian personnel and facilities, according to U.S. officials. But the response, expected to begin as soon as this weekend, will be tiered, mixing military actions with other steps that can be adjusted to signal that Washington doesn't seek further escalation. So, very, very interesting. And I want to just show you guys the weather situation. So, earlier in my update, I mentioned that U.S. officials said that weather is going to be a major factor in the timing of the response. U.S. officials told CBS News, as the U.S. has the capability to carry out strikes in bad weather, but prefers to have better visibility of selected targets as a safeguard against inadvertently hitting civilians who might stray into the area at the last moment. So I want to show you the weather. What you're looking at is the Middle East, and you can see this big low pressure system over Iran right now. It's basically covering all of Iran with the exception of like southeastern Iran. But this is a strong low pressure system that's dumping a bunch of snow in Iran, and you can see how thick the clouds are. With these types of clouds, our satellites, both visible and infrared, are not going to be able to look down from space and get a clear view of the targets. So they want these clouds to go away. They want the snow to stop. So this is why I think it's going to be this weekend. I think the response is going to start tomorrow night, potentially, or on Saturday. So let me just show you guys the forecast here. So here we have the current precipitation. You can see the white areas represent snow. You can see Tehran is getting wet snow. Pretty much all of Western Iran is getting wet snow. But if we go forward to tomorrow, by early tomorrow morning, you can see the snow starting to thin out a little bit and move more to the northeast. And then by tomorrow afternoon, most of the snow is in northeastern Iran. And then by tomorrow night, it's totally clear. Okay, there's no snow. The system moves out and goes to the northeast of Iran into Turkmenistan. Okay, so this is tomorrow afternoon and early evening. This is what it's going to look like. And right now, you can see what it looks like now. Okay, so I think tomorrow night, tomorrow afternoon is when we're going to see this response begin. It looks like they're going to hit targets in Iran because there's no bad weather in Syria and Iraq. I mean, we have some small clouds over here. I mean, it's just barely anything at all. I mean, there's like hardly any clouds at all in Syria, any clouds in Iraq. It's totally clear, but look at Iran. Iran is just totally covered in clouds. Okay, so they're mentioning bad weather. There's no bad weather over Syria and Iraq. So if they were only going to hit Syria and Iraq, why are they waiting for good weather? It's already good. It's totally clear. There's no rain. There's no snow. There's no clouds. But look at Iran. Iran is covered in this low pressure system. Tons of thick clouds. Look how thick these clouds are. Okay, these are snow clouds, very dense clouds with a lot of moisture and snow in them. So they have to wait for this system to move out to the northeast. So it's going to take until this time tomorrow for everything to clear up. Okay. So at the earliest, tomorrow afternoon, potentially on Saturday. So I will be going live to cover this. So make sure you're subscribed, hit the bell icon below so you get notified when I go live. And a U.S. official told ABC News that the U.S. Air Force will strike Iranian targets and personnel in Iraq and Syria, which is very interesting because Iran warned the U.S. that if we strike any of their assets, territory, or nationals, then we should expect a retaliation. Now, the U.S. already issued a warning to Iran not to respond to any of these strikes, okay? They issued a warning through back channels, reportedly through Switzerland, basically saying, listen, we're going to do this. And if you respond, then it's just going to escalate and make things worse for you. So don't respond. And then Iran responded back and saying, if you hit any of our assets, territory, or nationals, regardless of whether it's in Iran or outside of Iran, we're going to respond. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens. But I want to just remind you guys that Iran has a massive amount of these fast boats that they can use to swarm Western oil tankers and seize control of them and sink them if necessary. They also have a lot of cruise missiles, drones, ballistic missiles that they can use to target our oil fields in various parts of the Middle East, including Saudi Arabia, which they demonstrated they can successfully do. They did this several years ago when Trump was president. They hit one of the oil fields in Saudi Arabia and took out 50% of Saudi Arabia's production. And it took a couple of days for them to get everything back online. So they can take out our oil fields, guys. This is very, very serious. It could escalate rapidly and turn into a major situation. Okay. And like I reported the last 2 days, the U.S. is saying that this is going to be a weeks-long campaign. A weeks-long campaign. Okay, if they're just going to hit a couple of targets, you don't need several weeks for that. Okay, this is going to be something potentially bigger than Desert Storm, potentially bigger than Shock and Awe. Okay, those were just a few days, Desert Storm and Shock and Awe. Okay, they're talking about several weeks. Okay, and John Kirby said yesterday that, or actually it was today, he said the first thing you see is not going to be the last thing you see. So he was basically saying you're going to see some things in the coming days, but it's not going to be the end of it. Okay, a couple of strikes here and there, it's not going to be it. He's saying that that's not going to be the last thing you see. Okay, so get prepared, guys. We are on the verge of nuclear war right now with Russia and also now with Iran. And the whole situation in the Middle East has completely destabilized with the Red Sea, with Israel. And there's more indications that Israel is going to be going after Hezbollah any day now. I have a subscriber of mine who lives in Jerusalem, and he sent me a copy of an email that he received today from the Israeli government telling him what to do if there's a disaster. Specifically, it talked about emergency preparedness and power outages. Okay. And this came directly from the Israeli government. So the Israeli government is sending out messages and emails to their citizens telling them to get prepared for power outages. And if you remember, 2 weeks ago, I did that update about how the Israeli foreign ministry went around to all the embassies in Israel, all the foreign embassies, and told them to be prepared for possible extended power outages. Make sure that their generators are working, make sure they have fuel for their generators, and to make sure they have emergency supplies because there could be power outages soon. So it looks like Israel's about to go into Lebanon, and they're expecting Hezbollah to launch a massive barrage of rockets in retaliation, which could pepper all of Israel and take out various electrical infrastructure. Okay, so I'll read to you the exact email in just a little bit here, but I want to just read to you a little bit more about the situation with Iran. Apparently, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps of Iran, that's part of the Iranian military, has begun evacuating senior commanders and officers from Syria while halting any further deployments. Apparently, this withdrawal is claimed to also be an attempt by Iran to prevent these commanders from being trapped in Syria in the case of a major regional war. Okay, so the IRGC is evacuating all their high command from Syria because they don't want them to be trapped over there. Okay, because they're talking about a major regional war breaking out between the US and Iran. This evening, Israel carried out airstrikes targeting several locations linked to the IRGC and various Iranian proxies in Damascus. Okay, there were several kabooms heard in Damascus just about 2 hours ago. And Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin had some strong words about Iran today. He said, how much Iran knew or didn't know, we don't know, but it really doesn't matter because Iran sponsors these groups. Okay, so he was basically uh, putting out a rebuttal to what the Iranian representative to the UN said. The Iranian representative said, oh, we have no link to any of these groups. It's not our fault that the American troops were killed. We have nothing to do with that. What these groups do is what they do. We're not involved. And that was like right after the news came out that the American troops were killed. And he's basically saying it doesn't matter how much Iran knew or didn't know. He says because what really matters is that Iran sponsors these groups. Okay, so he's basically pointing the finger at Iran. Okay, so like I said for weeks now, when the war with Gaza begun, okay, or with Hamas in Gaza, when Israel went into Gaza after the Hamas attack on Israel, I told you guys that this would happen, didn't I? If you go back to my videos from October, I was warning you that there was going to be a regional war that was going to break out between the US and Iran. Okay, the US and Israel, they've wanted to strike Iran for years now, okay, because Iran is building up their nuclear materials. They already have enough nuclear material to build several nuclear weapons. And Congress already passed a resolution, okay, a bipartisan resolution, almost unanimously back in the fall, that the US and Israel will not accept Iran to have nuclear weapons, and they will do whatever's necessary to stop Iran from getting nuclear weapons. So they've already basically declared war on Iran and basically gave the president the green light to go in. Okay. And remember, Biden met with the Senate and the House already earlier in the week. So he basically already got approval from Congress to go into Iran if necessary. I don't know if he's going to do it now. It seems like he is. Logically, it would make sense. Or he may do a lighter strike now, and then if Iran responds back, then he's going to do, a full attack on Iran. But we'll have to wait and see because they're saying a weeks long campaign. That to me sounds like they're going to try to denuclearize Iran. Okay. And we have some breaking news coming in this evening that apparently 3 drones attacked a U.S. military base in eastern Syria today. And I want to remind you that Florida Governor Ron DeSantis will deploy 1 battalion of the Florida National Guard to Texas and also the Florida State Guard, which could amount to as many as 1,000 soldiers. And they're going to help the Texas National Guard build barriers along the Mexican border, okay, to keep the illegal immigrants from coming in. So I want to read to you this email that I got from one of my subscribers. Okay, this is an email from the Israeli Ministry of Justice. And apparently this is emergency Information Security and the Cyber Department at the Ministry of Justice. Ministry personnel and facilities could be threatened in the outbreak of an all-out war in the north. From the disruptions that the war is supposed to cause, damage to electrical infrastructure is expected to lead to a situation of darkness. You should prepare for a few days of power outage in the country, anticipation of a possible war in the north. The national emergency has asked government ministries to prepare for the possibility of severe power outages and a national blackout when at least 60% of the population will be without electricity for a period of 24 to 48 hours. In some areas, it may also take around 72 hours. Now, the English may sound weird because I think he translated this from Israeli. Remember, if there is no electricity, no lighting, no heat, and there will be no hot water in the street, there may be public lighting as well as in a stairwell. Cash payment and withdrawal will not be possible everywhere. Strong disruptions to public transport and roads will be very busy. Containers and supermarkets will not be full. Education will be closed, and there will be disruptions to internet and telephone communications. It is recommended to prepare the following materials in advance: emergency lighting and flashlights for several days, first aid kit, plan how to use foods that will be thawed in the freezer, prepare an emergency stock of dry foods due to disruption of water supply to taps if pumps stop pumping, an emergency stock of water depending on the number of people, water to be disposed of from toilet outlets, prepare bags in advance. For those who have electric stoves, look for an alternative. Buy gas or even a barbecue to grill vegetables. It is recommended to have a transistor AM/FM radio with batteries. It is recommended to purchase a stock of batteries, solar chargers, manual kitchen equipment that replaces electric ones. Write down a list of emergency phone numbers and addresses on paper. Fuel vehicles in advance. Have your drugs that you need. Warm clothes and extra blankets, hygiene and toiletry products for those who have elderly, disabled, or helpless loved ones who depend on them. Plan awareness. I'm not sure what that means. It's directly translated from Jewish, so or Hebrew. I'm sorry. And this update was sponsored by Patriot Supply. Guys, Patriot Supply has brought back their 25% discount on their 3-month emergency food supply. And to get the deal, you have to go to preparewith.nyprepper.com, and the link is in the description below this video. And this 3-month emergency food supply has a 25-year shelf life and includes over 2,000 calories per day. All of this food is stored within 6 rugged, water-resistant buckets, and free shipping is included. And My Patriot Supply is also doing a 30% discount on the Vesta self-powered indoor space heater and stove. With this thing, you can safely heat and cook indoors. You don't have to worry about carbon monoxide poisoning. You don't have to worry about burning your house down. It uses special canned heat, and it comes with 24 cans. Each can will last you 6 hours and can warm up a room of 200 square feet. So to get the deal, also go to preparewithnyprepper.com. And also, My Patriot Supply has a general store where they sell all kinds of prepping and survival items. To get to that store, you just click on the My Patriot Supply logo at the top of the page, and it'll take you to their general store. And they have all different kinds of discounts here on various items. They have MREs, they have water filters, they have potassium iodides, fire starters, anything you can imagine. So use the link preparewithnyprepper.com to get 25% off of the My Patriot Supply 3-month emergency food supply and 30% off of the Vesta indoor space heater and stove. It came out weird, but basically urging people to prepare, guys, okay, in case of a war in the north. So this is very, very serious, guys. We could have basically two wars break out. Israel will go into Hezbollah or go into Lebanon and go after Hezbollah, and then the U.S. is going to go into Iran. Okay. We've already been beefing up our ground forces in Saudi Arabia. We've sent multiple National Guard battalions to Saudi Arabia. So things are about to really kick off in the Middle East. Okay. It looks like we could have a major war in the Middle East now, like I've been saying for months. Okay, since October when this all started, I told you that this was eventually going to happen, didn't I? And the Romanian defense minister said Romania must be ready for war with Russia. The Romanian defense minister said the country isn't yet ready for an all out war with Russia. Yes, the population of Romania, like the entire population of the European Union, must be concerned. The Romanian defense minister said today he follows Britain, Sweden, and Germany, who have called up the army and the people to be prepared for a major military escalation. And the UK is going to be test firing one of their nuclear missiles very soon. They're going to test fire a Trident missile from one of their Vanguard class submarines. And this is their major nuclear deterrent. Okay, this is the main part of the British nuclear arsenal is their Trident missiles, which we actually give to them. Okay, so they're using our missiles. They're basically configured almost identical to ours. And this is interesting because this comes literally just a week after the U.S. announced that it was going to be moving B 61 gravity nuclear bombs to Britain for the first time in 15 years. Okay, so look at the big picture, guys. We have multiple defense ministers in Europe and generals, okay, warning that they have to prepare for war with Russia, that war with Russia could come inside of 3 years. We have NATO doing this massive so called exercise now that's going to last through June with 90,000 troops. Okay, Britain is deploying 20,000 troops to Eastern Europe as part of this so called exercise. That's the most amount of troops that they've moved outside of their territory in years, in decades. Okay. Now we have this Romanian defense minister saying to prepare for war. We have Britain test firing Trident missiles, the U.S. moving gravity nuclear bombs for the first time in 15 years to Britain. So things are really spiraling out of control around the world. Okay. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just, telling it like it is. We could see potentially cyber attacks here. Iran has a lot of hackers that have backdoors into our critical infrastructure. Here we have some video footage coming from the Chesapeake Bay area. This is right outside of Patuxent River, which is a major naval air station. And there's been a lot of activity there in the last few hours. This is coming from a friend of mine who lives near Patuxent River. And here we have some type of helicopter. It's hard to tell what type of helicopter it is, but he sent me multiple videos today. Actually, looks like an Apache. Yeah, that looks like an Apache helicopter. He sent me multiple videos today. He said that the activity there today is basically off the chain, and there's just been tons and tons of military aircraft flying by today, just in the last couple hours. He hasn't seen this in a few days, in a while, actually. Here we have another video that he sent me. Okay, you can see this is a Black Hawk also in the afternoon today. All right, there it is, Black Hawk. And we have some more footage here. I'm not sure what kind of plane this is. If anybody wants to guess what kind of plane this is, let me know in the comments. But almost looks like a U-2 with that nose profile there. And also Ursula von der Leyen, the EU leader, said that there was a good phone call with Biden earlier today Apparently, Europe has agreed on 50 billion euros in financial aid for Ukraine. And we agreed that Ukraine needs to continue receiving broad support from its partners. We will stand jointly at Ukraine's side as long as it takes. So it looks like Europe has agreed on a 50 billion euro aid package for Ukraine. And now they're just waiting on the US. And here we have some footage coming out of the Netherlands. These angry farmers are taking to the streets in yet another country. Okay, it started in Germany. Now it's in France, Belgium. Earlier today, they went to the EU headquarters and they were dumping manure outside of it and clashing with police. Okay, and now it's in Netherlands, these protests, and then also in Greece. So things are really escalating around the world. I'm not going to go live tonight. I probably will go live tomorrow night. So make sure you're subscribed, hit the notification bell down below so you get notified when I post these updates. But I hope you guys have a good rest of your night and just make sure you're getting prepared because things are about to kick off very soon. So take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.